Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes of Torah with the BI Rabbi. I'm your BI Rabbi for this week, Rabbi Adam Stein. As I mentioned last week, now Rabbi Infeld and his family are off on sabbatical in Australia. You can see I'm in Rabbi Infeld's office here, family picture behind me. I'm keeping it warm for him, if that's at all possible in Vancouver right now. But we wish them well. I think they're spending their first Shabbat in Melbourne right now. They'll be there next week as well. That's where I was with my family for the 5 years before arriving here in June. So we wish them a Shabbat Shalom, which they're already celebrating because it's 19 hours ahead. A couple announcements for you about happenings around our shul. Family Havdalah with the Difference is coming up soon, January 28th at 5 p.m. We have a light meal, Havdalah, led by my friend and colleague Rabbi Mark Kasten, who's the new rabbi at VTT, and some craft activities like make your own spices. It'll be a great event. Please come, and we're looking for RSVPs by the 23rd. Also in January, the first Lunch and Learn with me is coming up on the 25th at noon. The lunch is free, but we do ask that you RSVP so we have enough food. It's always a current event, so we'll announce the topic the week before. Now, I just want to share with you a few thoughts about our Torah portion this week, and actually about something that we don't usually talk about in this week's Torah portion. What we usually talk about, and you'll hear about this tonight and tomorrow, is the big speech that Judah gives in the beginning of Parashat Vayigash, his big, powerful speech, big oratory that convinces Joseph to reveal who he really is. But this other part that I want to talk about doesn't get so much publicity in this week's parasha. It takes up about 14 verses or so in chapter 47, and it describes this arrangement that Joseph makes. Joseph is like the assistant pharaoh, the vice pharaoh in all of Egypt, second in command in all of Egypt. It's this arrangement that he makes with the Egyptian people and the Canaanites during this famine that's going on. Remember, he predicted the famine with interpreting Pharaoh's dreams. Now, the arrangement he makes sounds a bit like socialism, a bit like serfdom, maybe a bit like a benevolent dictatorship. So I'll read some of what happens here. We're told that there's no bread in all of the world because of this famine, and Joseph gathers all of the money that's in Egypt and in Canaan as payment for the rations that he's given out to the people because he saved up some food during the 7 good years in anticipation of the 7 bad years. But then when all the money is gone, the Egyptians say, "Give us some bread because we're going to die, and all of our money is gone." And he says, "Okay, you know what? Bring me your livestock, and I'll give you some bread to sell to you against your livestock." So great. So they bring their livestock, but then the livestock, then the bread runs out again, and they say, "You have our money, you have our livestock, and nothing's left but ourselves and our land." So they say, "Take our land in exchange for food, for bread, and on our land we'll be serfs to Pharaoh, and you give us the seed and we'll plant on the land that we've already given to you, and then we can live because we'll have some food." And so Joseph says, "Okay," and he takes the land, and he's already taken their livestock, and he's already taken their money, and then they go on, and now they're living off of the land that used to be theirs. And it says, Joseph removed the population town by town from one end of Egypt's border to the other. And just the priests get to have their land. So then he says to the people, "I have acquired you and your land for Pharaoh. I have your land. You are serfs now. You're sort of like slaves. I'm giving you the seed. And you'll give 1/5 of everything you produce on land to Pharaoh, and you can keep 4/5. And they're grateful. They say, "You have saved our lives. We're grateful to my Lord," to Joseph, "and we shall be serfs to Pharaoh." And he makes this law in the land. And it's an amazing thing because it seems like, it's a big question here, it seems like Joseph maybe created the slavery system in Egypt. There's a question, did slavery exist before that time? And if he created it, it's a bit ironic because later on, as we know, the children of Israel become slaves in Egypt when a Pharaoh rises who, we're told, doesn't know Joseph, is not friendly with Joseph. So it could be that this in the Torah is a bit of polemic against slavery, pointing out that Joseph creates it, and then it comes back to bite the Jewish people in the tuchus, if you will, because we become slaves. So as we read Parashat Vayigash this year, tomorrow morning and this week, let's beware of the dangers of slavery, a terrible thing, and also of authoritarian power. Even at the same time, we can give our ancestor Joseph some benefit of the doubt as he tried to save the Egyptians and the Canaanites and his own people, the children of Israel, from the famine. Shabbat Shalom.